So can we get a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Moved and second. Make the paving on Ivy Road.
That's me. I haven't heard, we came in May and presented that, and we didn't get any feedback from, I think Albert was gonna check on some funding, some special funding. We didn't get any feedback on that, so that road is getting worse. It's just a hazard. I mean, if you want your county to grow, there's a lot of home sites out there. If you want to bring more people to this area, that road needs to be addressed. It's a hazard for the school buses. It's a publicly traveled road. And a big problem that everybody's having is their septic systems with all the water standing out there is just, it's a health hazard.
Well, we have took a look at that, and we've been looking at it over the years, and I know you know the story on. We tried to pay for one time, and everybody didn't agree. And I think our city manager, our county manager, not have more input on it.
And yeah, and I'm Tony Collins. I'm coming in on the new county administrator after Albert retired at the end of the month, and I did have an opportunity to look at your bullet points that y'all submitted for the petition of that, and kind of getting caught up to speed. You know, like Commissioner said, you know, I'm looking back at it, it looks like back in 1995, the Department of Transportation, back then, they had a little bit of a different paving program than they do now, and it was basically what they called state aid and then LARP. And LARP was basically for resurfacing, and the state aid money that they provided to the counties could be used for actually paving of dirt roads and other improvements to bridges and culverts and things like that. Since then, and I think at that opportunity, like I said, I don't think there were some issues with the alignment, and I think there were some issues then with the property owners wanting to deed over the needed right-of-way to the county for that paving. And unfortunately, since the county couldn't, since they couldn't agree and the county couldn't apply the right-of-way, DOT moved beyond that, and so basically we're at a situation where we're at now. And the process now with the DOT, the way they do it, is by formula. It's called LMIG, Local Maintenance Improvement Grant Money, and you receive the money strictly based on a formula of the amount of roads that the county has and the population. And Lanier County's formula this past year was approximately $160,000, which really would not go very far with the paving of that. I think, I haven't went out there to actually measure it, but I think in the minutes it says it's about approximately 2 miles. So that amount of money and what the county has decided and everything with that small amount of money is basically to put it into what we call pavement preservation, which is your existing paved roads that we have to resurface the needs that we have there, you know, because of the roads are cracking and, you know, they need to be resurfaced every few years to maintain those paved roads. So I can certainly understand and I appreciate your desire to you know, have that road paved, but what I guess we need to do is go out there. I need to get a little bit more familiar with it, and I will do that.
Oh, I wish we had brought you out there this week when the water was standing practically impassable. Yeah,
and I do understand that. And, you know, we've gotten an exorbitant amount of rain throughout the county and throughout South Georgia, actually Georgia and Florida and everywhere. And I can understand, you know, the bullet points that you brought out, and certainly I'll get with our road superintendent and see if there's anything as far as ditches that we can do to help drain the road. I know, you know, at a point the roads and the yards do become saturated, and you can't, you know, it's hard for that water to shed off. But what I will do is with the commissioners here is, you know, we'll look. The biggest thing, the challenge that we just have a limited amount of funding available to us, and to actually pave that road. I mean, just rough figures, about 2 miles. I mean, you're looking in excess of probably $600,000 to actually go in with full depth paving rather than just, you know, resurfacing basically 1.5 inches because it's dirt. So that's the challenge, is just identifying the funding that we need to get that done. And, you know, the county has other dirt roads other than those that are there, so we would have to, you know, get with that. But as a county, right now, we're limited, we are putting that into the pavement preservation portion of that, so. But I appreciate it, and I do understand your concern, and just, you know, I will go out there and take a look at it and see if there's anything that we can do, and, you know, looking at also, I think you said Mr. Studstill had talked about maybe some possible alternative funding or whatever. There are, you know, there is grant money available, but you have to meet certain qualifications for that, and I'm not sure if that residential area would do that, but it's certainly some of the things that I can look into and see if we can identify.
You know, if you're going to get with the road department, the supervisor, if you, in the immediate future, could we take it and look at the road and look at the ditches, and if the ditches are filled up by a private individual on one side of the road and the water comes halfway across the road to the other side, possibly when you go out with the road superintendent, in other words, you have a road bed and two ditches, and if one ditch is filled up by someone's yard, the water comes all the way across the road. So while you're out there looking, I would humbly suggest to look at the existing road and try to find a better way to drain the water to the paved highway from the existing ditches that maybe have been clogged up over time, and improve that. That would help the school bus situation, and when it rains, you can't hardly get down the road. So thank you very much.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're saying this year there is no funding.
Right.
I just don't want to hear that there's never going to be any funding to get that road paved. And I realize there's other communities out there, but apparently they don't care about their roads or than being in here.
And the thing is, like I said, you know, the problem is there is a lot more needs than there is funding available, right? You know, like I said, the county gets in that from the DOT approximately $160,000 a year. And this year we are, you know, there were identified for the pavement preservation, and there's one bridge that needs to be rehabbed before it was it's actually posted, meaning it's, you know, load limited. It's going to a certain amount of load can go across it. So we're having to put a few, you know, about $108,000, and we'll go over that actually on the agenda later as far as, you know, what we got on bids. But what we'll need to do is assess the whole situation and put it in some type of order, and when we can get that funding available.
Yeah, well, thank you, we appreciate that.
Okay. And I appreciate your concern, I do.
Any more questions on it? If not, we'll move on to the partner report.
Okay. Activity, fire department answered 22 calls for the month of June. 4 of the 22 were EMS calls. The county had 19 of the 22 and 6 of the 19 paid. But the county's paid $11.80 for the month. There were no vehicle repairs up from last meeting to date. Things that are going on, all the trees have been removed from that new site. We're trying to establish a new station down at 7 Rocks. So we're waiting on now to burn the pile, and then the county can go in and start stumping it. You know, and that's just an ongoing project. It's just going to be going on as the money comes along. The firefighter class for the new firefighters has been completed, and we'll be state testing that crew in the next 2 to 3 months. The last, a pumper was spotted by the forestry, that thing they got going for trucks that we're signed up for. I got with Stephen about going to look at that truck, but I didn't get a chance to go look at it before it was delivered. It's now at the county barn. The truck, I went and looked at it out there to see what I could do about cranking it or whatever. But after inspection, the truck will not certify for a pumper. It is only a 250 GPM and has to be 750 to even certify. So it's completely useless. Danny's the one that brought it in, Danny Strickland from Homerville. I called him and told him, I said, if you want it, you can apply it or whatever. It has no purpose for us whatsoever. I don't know. I was supposed to go look at it before we got it, but I didn't. It got here before we got a chance to go there. But anyhow, that truck's useless, and we'll move on and wait for something else to come along. And I guess Homerville hopefully will. They wanted it for another purpose instead of a pumper. So I don't know if they're gonna get
Ain't
it or
nothing
not.
we can do with it to.
Yes, there
get it
is.
to be-
In fact, they're wanting to put it in the station over there in Argyle,
Yeah.
is what they're wanting to do with it. We've got trucks, Mud Creek won't even work. There's no reason it can't go up there and work until they can get there.
Mud Creek has a truck that is certified by the state, fully functional.
Well, you told us last time that
They
it
need
was
a
not
pump.
pumping.
They need a pumper, but that won't qualify as a pumper.
Well, it qualifies as a fire truck.
But if the man comes down and looks at it, he'll just say, that's no good.
Well, I don't care what they say, but if a truck can get there and help hold the fire down
They've got,
until somebody else can get
they
there,
got a 1,750 gallon tanker with pump sitting there ready to go.
yeah, and a house burning up there.
But I can't help that, I mean, but the truck is there for their use. I mean, it's sitting there, I mean, a fine truck, nothing wrong with it. It just will not certify as a pumper. It's a knocker. They were
We can still
grandfathered in.
get pumpers, Gary, if they find something.
The truck is sitting at the station, which is not a pumper.
I don't care if it's a pumper or not. We put out a bunch of fires with 25-gallon pump-up sprayer.
I put up one with a
So-
5 gallon pump up
Well,
there.
that's good.
But I'm telling you,
But we got something that hadn't cost us anything, and it's not your position. The board has already stated that they wanted that truck here. It is not
Nobody
your, it's
told
not,
me.
you do not have the authority to be giving that truck away without our approval.
I called you first and told you the truck that was not no good.
Yeah, and I was in the hospital over there with my daughter getting,
Well, I
Sorry.
can't help where you was. I called you,
Sorry.
told you the truck was no good for what we needed it for.
and
Yeah,
I
We
was
gotta have a
with you at that
pumper,
time.
so when the state comes and inspects that station, that there be a certified pumper in that station. And that is not a certified pumper.
Well, it don't matter, we're gonna keep,
Well, you keep it or do whatever you want to with it,
Yeah.
but it's not gonna do us any good.
Gary, just a question, I ain't getting no
Okay.
more. How can Argyle put it in the next station?
If you don't believe me, call Danny.
I'm asking a question.
I'm just gonna tell you, Danny said the same thing. I said, Danny, it won't qualify. He said, you're right, it's not big enough, it's a 250 GPM, will not qualify for a pumper. He said, I want it because it's a four-wheel drive. He said, I don't want it for a pumper, I want it for something else. He said, we're gonna take the body off of it, put a tank on it. That's what he told me. And you got to have a 750 GPM minimum to certify by the state. Mud Creek's the only station we have without a certified pumper. This will not give them a certified pumper. This will just give them another truck that they don't need. They got a truck that will respond, has more water on it than the pumpers we have. Our pumpers tote 1,000 gallons. Their pumper totes 1,750. Almost double. I can't help the firemen not, if they don't go, I can't help how many people are up there responding. I mean, there's like 5 firemen in that department. If a fire comes down and they're not there to respond, I can't help that. We're volunteers. They can't just stand by the station and wait for something to happen. They have lives to live. And there's a house burned up there, and yeah, their truck showed up, and 1 fireman was on it out of 5. I can't help that. I mean, you have no control over how many volunteers will go to a fire. That's just, if y'all want a full-time fire department, I suggest you get up $1 million and sit in and get you one, and then you'll be sure to have so many firemen and so many trucks. But when you're working with volunteers, you can have all the equipment in the world, but you still got volunteers. And you still got volunteers that go to work every day to make a living, or are out of town, or going to Valdosta to eat dinner, or something. I can't just stand around here and wait for something to happen.
Well, before we
you
get
talking
away-
about them not showing up, Gary. How many times have they told you that their pagers would not work over there?
Mud Creek has never told me. Stockton has told me a bunch of times, or West Side's told me a bunch of
They
times.
told
Mud
me
Creek
about
has never
3
told
weeks
me
ago,
their
they
pagers don't
told
work.
you that their
Mud
pagers
Creek
were
has
not working.
never stated to me their pagers are not working. And Teeterville has not either. I have no problems on the north end of the county.
Before we give it away, or consider giving it away, let's have some more meetings and see what we can do with it.
Whatever y'all want to do with it, I really don't care. I mean, if y'all want to keep it, but you've got to remember, it's got to be painted and it's got to be housed. So there's more money to spend on it than what you've done spent. So, I mean, then you're going to spend money on a truck that's no good for as far as certification.
It does not have to be repainted because it is not military colors.
They told us out there that all the trucks would have to be repainted. That's all I go by. I've just been told this. That all the trucks, they have to be painted and they have to be housed. If it's a house, it's not a problem. They got a bay out there ready to sit in. But you can take them a brand new pumper, and if they don't but one guy show up at a house fire, then so be it. But they got about 5 men out there. 2 of them just happen to be Georgia Forester firefighters. Randy out there has been there forever, since it was established. And he's the chief out there. And he goes when he can, but Randy's health is so bad, he rarely gets to go. Or either he's at the doctor or church or somewhere. And then Steve is never around because he's usually working or something else. And the 2 forestry guys are at work in the forestry department. And that just leaves one, Robert, and I don't know what I don't know where he works or nothing about what he does during the day. But my deal is I've got to get a certified pumper in that station. And the one reason what you're forgetting about, their other truck was taken out of service, and it was grandfathered in as a certified truck because of the new rule. Well, that truck got taken out of service and replaced by another knocker, which was a no-no. You could not replace it knocker for knocker, and it got done. If the man comes for the inspection and sees that knocker sitting there and realizes that it's not the truck that was there to begin with, he can shut that station down. He'll give you 30 days to correct. In other words, you got 30 days to put a pumper in there. After that, he'll lock the door and say, don't leave the station. He has that authority. So that's what I'm trying to do. Get a certified pumper in that station before that inspector comes. And he can come today, next week, next month, next year. Who knows? He calls me like a day or 2 before and said, I'll be in your area in 2 days.
Do you know that interstation you ever shut down?
What's that?
In Lanier County? You ever know them to shut a station down in Lanier County? A fire station?
Oh, no, they ain't never shut none of us down. I've been called on some items that I had to correct. Some problems I had. And he said, okay, get this corrected in 30 days. And I always have to call him and say, okay, I've got to correct it. You know, and
Mr. Chairman,
but I've never been shut down.
to table this till the next meeting and let us know what we were looking to do on.
Yes, sir.
I'd make a motion, we table this until we have time to look at the truck, check it out, and see what options are on it.
Second. One question. Do you think there's something we can do to maybe recruit some firemen out there, or you just think everybody's just lost interest?
They've recruited, they've done, I mean, they got a good group of men. It's just not hardly anything goes on at Mud Creek. I mean, thank God, I mean, nobody wants fire or, you know, anything else. And they have 4 or 5 calls a year in that area, where the rest of us is handling, you know, 4 or 5 calls a week. Same with Teeterville, it's just rare, you know. You've got a good group of guys there, there's 5 or 6 of them. But there's so rare stuff that goes on the north end of the county, which is great for us. I mean, I love it. But I don't know if their morale is down or what, but they keep their truck up, and Randy keeps things going out there. And I mean, everything's in place. The men are there, they got their equipment, everything is just, you know, how many's going to show up when the pager really goes off? You don't know. You know, I mean, there's no control. Same way we didn't have any of the fire departments, are all the same way. Stockton has 8 or 10 guys. But if they went off today, right now, be lucky to get 2 or 3. The rest of them's at work or whatever, you know. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Gary.
You got a second, you got a motion and a second, you need to go ahead and vote on it.
All in favor? Motion second, any opposed? Go to Bobby.
I've talked with Bob, and I just give y'all a report on, you know, like I said, rain and water. He's kind of been last week trying to hit the spots that are drying out with the roads. Right now there is a lot of standing water, and so he's not able to get in there and do any grading, but he is hauling some dirt in low areas that have washed off on shoulders and everything, so he's just got his crews doing that. Hopefully the forecast doesn't look a lot better. I know there's a tropical storm out there headed our way, I think, later this week, so it looks like we're probably going to get some more rain, but hopefully the water will get some dry spots sometime to dry out a little bit. So
Tornado either touched down or got close over there on his area. He has some trees down on some of his property, be it down Bergen. A couple of pivots laid over. A lot of work to do out there.
Thank you, brother. EMS, Randy?
Good morning. We had a total of 92 calls for June. Of those 92, we transported 64 patients, and we assisted 7 at home. and 7 refused transport, and we stood by for the fire department 4 times, and 9 was canceled before we could get to them. Of the calls, 41 was in the city limits of Lakeland, 9 at Teeterville, 13 at Mud Creek, 8 at Westside, and 18 in Stockton. We transported 50 people to South Georgia Medical Center and 13 to Lewis Smith. That's pretty much it. It's kind of a down month for us. It's not our lowest number, but it's close to it. And I guess on the positive side, that's a good thing. If we had less people getting sick or hurt. This month, unfortunately, is complete opposite. I think we've had 23 calls already, and today's not even the 10th yet. So we never can tell what we're going to do. An idea that might help the Mud Creek area was kind of, he was asking how to spark some interest there. We do have several EMS calls up there. We've had 74 so far this month, and 66 in Peterville. The CERT program that we've talked about and we're trying to get going, when I get through this EMT class, we'd like maybe another month with it, maybe start there with the CERT. And if we have some interest, CERT is Community Emergency Response Teams, and that might get interest in the fire department. It's just a possibility. We always think about men as firefighters, but women make great firefighters too. And the CERT program usually attracts the females because it's things that you do for your community and your house for emergency preparedness and response. You get their hands on a fire extinguisher and things like that, it may go, I can do this, I can run a fire truck. It's just a suggestion, it won't cost us anything to try it.
How many of the calls were your community trained EMTs responded to? Were they any?
We didn't respond to any this last month. We've had 3 calls, one call that we had to call mutual aid for the month. And I'm not exactly sure what this report, I think Lowndes covered it for us. But we had really no opportunities for them to work
Kind of
this
slow.
month. Right. But that, like I said, it's changed this month. We had a call, I think yesterday, Lowndes could not come, Berrien could not come. And that's just one of the cases they had to wait on us to get back from Homerville. Homerville called us, we went and backed them up. And while we were there, we had a lady need an ambulance here in Lakeland. And unfortunately, she just had to wait on us. The fire department was there, they did what they could to comfort her to an ambulance to get here. But that's just one of the very rare occasions that none of our mutual aid people could come help us. It's not just us that's getting wrapped up this month. On the GEMA side, I talked with John, and I asked him to come to the meetings, and he tells me that everything is in line with GEMA. And that's all I have to go by is what he says. The region coordinator for the county is not the same region coordinator that I deal with the hospital. Regions are all messed up. Mr. Gary Rice is who I work with the hospital. Harold, you know the one for the county, I forget her name, out of Atkinson County.
Diane?
Diane, right. She is not officially communicating with me yet since I'm not the director of official communications, but still go to John. So that's the reason I'm kind of a little disconnected with what the county is doing. I think we're, according to John, he's got everything in line to make us compliant.
For the upcoming year, he got the papers around, late Saturday, I think, he sent it to me on also.
Okay.
Anything else, any questions? Park and Rec, Norwood?
Activities for June at the Recreation Department was, we participated in a lot of warm-up tournaments early part of the month. End of the month, we did District 3 GRPA tournament. We had limited success. We have 2 teams advancing to state level play this week and 8L in Nashville.
So they'll be playing in where?
8 Lanier girls will be in Nashville State Tournament, 10 Lanier girls will be in ADL State Tournament, beginning Wednesday. I don't have exact times yet for some of them.
We didn't get a chance to host.
This year we didn't. We bid it, we didn't get a chance to host.
What about next year?
The bid process will begin in December. We'll put our hats in the ring.
Okay, thank you. Animal control. What did you say?
I can say a little bit on that if y'all would. I think we had advertised for bids on that, 45 days ago or more. In the last commission meeting, I think it was the board's to table that until further discussion with the city. And I've had that discussion with the city, and basically we're operating right now with the city, and they're responding for our needs on that. And it would be my recommendation that we just continue with that with the city, not go forth with any contract. And the city attorney and our attorney are working to draft up a intergovernmental agreement that states that it would be a substantial saving from previous contracts if we do enter into that agreement with the city. And that would be my recommendation.
What would we have to do for the bid we got on?
We haven't opened them, it's been tabled, we won't open them. And then when we enter to an agreement with the city, we just need to write whoever sent the bid and tell them that we did not open the bids, and we've withdrawn the advertisement of having our own independent animal control agency.
Do we need to, if this goes through, if you think so, maybe have the BJ, which is the county guy, or the city guy that's doing it for the county, the city to come in and maybe report on how many? Would that be a good idea?
And they do it in conversation with the city. She said that she has that information available when they send us the invoices, for payment.
I was gonna say, if I need to, I can start writing a copy of the bill every month, when they do submit the bill to me, and show me.
And I could either do that report or either have him come in on it, but yeah, I think, Donna, we get that information, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's fine. But I agree, I think it's worthy to have some report of what he responds to each month.
Collins, could you also check into it? I was told that, when that, kennel law was put in down there for the city, that the county contributed to the cost of that. Would you be able to check into that and see how much we?
There was some question, I think, on the way that they were euthanizing down there, I think.
The county contributed to the, putting in the kennels down there and the thing that could burn them and stuff like that. And I just like to know how much we contributed to that there for the year. Just for informational purposes, I guess, but know that we had already spent some, of the county's money to do that.
And that would be further reason to just because they are using that, and certainly if the county's contributed to that, I want to see us get a return on that.
Any more questions on animal control? We'll move on from the connection. Amy?
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Donna, you can.
Okay. You'll all notice in your folders, I'll put your financial reports, and if you can look at. This is as of June the 30th, which is the end of our fiscal year. You'll notice that right now we're at 91.99% of our general fund budget. All the bills have not come in. It'll be at least probably this month and part of next month before everything comes in for June, and then we'll have a better figure as far as our year-end cost. And the SPLOST budget's at 91.63 also. Any questions?
Any more questions to Donna?
I got
One, nothing to do with the budget, but on this letter that was sent by Dick Perryman,
for Judy's prosecutor. That's what,
Is that-
new budget.
It just says this letter is to inform you that my office will be unable to prosecute cases in
That's-
court.
that's
gonna
coming
fall,
later.
that's gonna fall under number
Okay.
11 of
Yeah.
old business.
That will be
Okay.
a little later.
Donnie, do y'all know why the solid waste is so much higher?
There was a salary put in there, for the previous administrator, but we're gonna do some adjustment. Tony's already looked at it. I'm gonna do some journal entries, to do some of that back out to the road department. I think that's got a lot to do with it.
That and collections, I guess, at the center has been,
Anywhere from
a
1,000
lot more,
to
yeah.
1,700 and up.
And
So we
and
have to
the,
have that.
and the sale of the scrap has really not been enough to offset. It's just been items that we've had to, pay to dispose of. So,
We are gonna try to move some of those salaries back to the road department. Maybe that'll help that. budget side.
Any part of the balance is set up,
Sir?
the balance is set up previous,
Well,
when you
I
move money.
moved it, yes.
Okay, no maid, executive session, you got anything?
Number 7.
Seven.
Okay, come on, I'm sorry.
thanks. I would like to say just I appreciate the warm hospitality that I've received over this past few weeks of coming on board. Everybody's been very good to work with, and just getting still acquainted with everybody and the different offices and the different departments' needs and everything. And I certainly still have a long way to go to get acquainted with all the issues in the county, but I appreciate everybody's patience and support. So with that, I did put in your package that one-page letter from Statewide Engineering. We were talking about our LMIG funding. That is our local maintenance improvement grant money that we receive from the Department of Transportation for transportation needs. Our county's allotment for this year was approximately $160,000. And we had previously, the county had identified needed bridge repairs on Empire Road, Ivy Road, and River Road. They're all considered bridges. The ones on Ivy and River, I believe, are actually what we call bridge culverts, but they're still fall under, they had some needed repairs. We took bids on those, and we opened bids Thursday, June 27th. And for those repairs on those 3 bridges, the low bid was Southern Concrete Construction Company at a total project cost of $108,450. I would recommend, and I'll tell you before I do my recommendation, that is a portion of our allotment that we've gotten. The other that we took bids on was the resurfacing of Moore Road and 1.5 miles of that. We also opened bids on it, the 27th, and low bid for that resurfacing was Reams and Son Construction Company of $137,610.50, strictly for resurfacing of the road. However, our allotment does not cover the entire need for that. So based upon that, in review with Statewide Engineering that administers that for the county, I would recommend that we go ahead and award the needed repairs for the bridge repairs with Southern Concrete, go ahead and get those done, and then defer the award on the resurfacing of Moore Road, because I have received application or request for application from the Department of Transportation for our 2014 LMIG money, and we could use that, some of that money to finish out Moore Road. We would just have to add that money in it once we get approval from the department on that. It would be approximately about $60,000 that we would need to take from our 2014 allotment to go with our 2013 to get that whole road resurfaced, rather than have a contractor come in and do, just whatever portion we could do, and then we would have to re-advertise it to finish out that remaining. I feel like, it would just cause us a few months delay in getting that done. So that would be my recommendation.
Question, on Moore Road, we had discussed